If you're ripping off best ball drafts and you're drafting from the 101, I have the perfect draft strategy right here at RotoWire. We're going to start out right away. Jahmyr Chase is the 101. If you think about the projection of what this Bengals offense can do, moreover, of what this defense lacks in the offensive firepower, there's going to be plenty of targets to go around. Now, this isn't to say that you don't want Saquon Barkley or some of these other guys along this range, but if you're at the 101, Jahmyr Chase is the guy that you want. You can have a high-end player that puts up the most fantasy points that isn't a quarterback right away, and there's zero reason to think that he can't replicate what they did last season. The situation is exact same on offense, and then on defense, it's only gotten worse, and they still haven't paid their edge players. I'm all in on Jahmyr Chase, clicking the button and not think about it. Now, I know this, I said this is at the 101, but I'm going to give you a little bit of bonus if you're at the 102, 103, because it's so easy for what you're going to do at the one spot. But let's say that you are at the 102 or the 103. This is why I have these other players like Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, and two, I know some of your surprises, Puka Nacua, and not Justin Jefferson. I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs even before Saquon Barkley. Again, I'm not saying that Barkley's not going to be good or he's going to be a busted pick, but if I'm drafting this high, I want the player that I know can finish as the RB1 or the wide receiver 1. We've only had to repeat RB1 back-to-back, I think once in the last 10 seasons. So if I'm going to bet on someone else, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs because we have a new offensive coordinator. We don't know if we're going to see the same dual back system. Moreover, we already saw what Jahmyr Gibbs was when David Montgomery got hurt last season. If they start to feed him the ball more, and with that pass catching, he's going to be a league winner. And then why I have someone like Puka Nacua along with all these others, it's the same reason I like the Bengals. I will say the Rams defense is a lot better than what it has been, but they don't have an explosive running game. Even with Kyren Williams, a lot of what Kyren Williams' production's been has not been from yardage. It's been just from pure volume and, more importantly, touchdowns in the red zone. There's going to be plenty of volume in this offense. Plus, we already know when Puka Nacua is on the field, he is demanding high targets consistently. Even with Davante Adams coming into town, this only helps him because we already saw Cooper Kupp, who earned targets in his own right in the same offense. Davante Adams can step in. All he's doing is pulling coverage and making it even easier for Puka Nacua. Now, let's kick it back to rounds 2 and 3. We're at the turn now, so we're going to be picking at the end of the second and start off the third round. This is really where you're going to win and lose. I like to get my pass catchers early. If I got a running back at the 101, 102, 103, right at this spot, I am making sure I'm having high-end pass catchers. That's why I have Trey McBride, McConkey, even Brian Thomas Jr.'s at this range, Garrett Wilson. I'm taking them back-to-back sometimes. More importantly, I want to point out Trey McBride. When you're drafting, especially if you're going to be doing best ball around this season, you want the highest upside. That means you want to accumulate, acquire, and put as many points in every position. That means that having Trey McBride in your tight end position is more important than reaching for another running back in your RB2 because no one else is able to have that type of upside in their tight end position. And when I mean that Brock Bowers and Trey McBride are in another stratosphere, it's not even close because they're putting up wide receiver 1 numbers in your tight end spot. No other team threw to the tight end position more than the Arizona Cardinals. That's why a lot of people were disappointed in Marvin Harrison Jr. and why Trey McBride was such a boom in fantasy for the value that you got him in. Now, to the point that I just said, the value that you just recently got him in, does that mean that you should fade him because he's more expensive? No. Because again, I already said it, no one else has the upside to put the amount of points in your tight end spot. So you can nail that spot and then look at other players to fill in those other gaps. If Trey McBride's off the board, then yes, I still want another pass catcher. And I'm going to tell you why. I understand that running back's important, but the way that I'm looking at this is I want a hero at my running back position. And then RB2, there's a lot of RB2s with RB1 upside that we're going to hammer later. You can't say the same thing for wide receiver. A lot of that upside depletes. And again, remember what I said, we are looking for upside. We don't want people that are just safe. Safe is what lands you in the middle of your league, and especially in best ball, if you want to finish in the money, you want to stand out from the rest. So yes, if you could get Ladd McConkey and Brian Thomas Jr. back-to-back, that is viable too. And let's say that you do go wide receiver early and then you're looking for that hero running back. Here is where I would look at Breece Hall. I even want Breece Hall over Bucky Irving because of that receiving upside. Remember what I said about Jahmyr Gibbs and what he's done with Ben Johnson? Well, the passing game coordinator that worked underneath Ben Johnson is now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. I'm willing to bet on that passing upside over some of these other guys, let's say like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's going to be going ahead of him, so if I can get Breece Hall any later, I'm going to take Breece Hall then. Next, we have a full 2 rounds, and now we're back at the turn. If you don't get Trey McBride, if you don't get Brock Bowers, the only tight end that you need to target is George Kittle. He's the only one that's even close, and he's in a tier in his own. You want high volume, and then in the 49ers, now that they don't have Deebo Samuel, you could see how George Kittle fits into this offense. It can give you that high upside. George Kittle's the only one I want that I'm fading tight end. If not, you're good, and you're going to look at some of these other guys. Now, remember how I said we're taking care of these pass catchers early, or even quarterback. I have Lamar Jackson on the other tier, but if he falls here, or maybe Jaden Daniels, that's who you want. But if not, here's where I start to really think about hammering running back. Chuba Hubbard, Kenneth Walker's in this range, but wide receiver, this is another one. If you happen to get Breece Hall, let's say you have 2 pass catchers, it's either 2 wide receivers or a tight end, or you got a wide receiver, running back, and a tight end, and you need another wide receiver or something else, or a wide receiver 2. Here's why I said you can get some wide receiver 2s with wide receiver 1 upside. Or on the contrary, all these other guys that I said, let's say that you went Saquon Barkley, then you went Trey McBride, or you went Lamar Jackson, then you went George Kittle. You haven't even taken a wide receiver yet. Now is your opportunity, and you have to smash wide receiver. And I have 2 for you. It's Rashee Rice and Davante Adams. Everything that I said about Puka Nacua can be applied to Davante Adams. Now, I know that he's a lot older, but the profile and type of a wide receiver that he is someone who's going to consistently earn targets no matter what. We're looking at these Larry Fitzgeralds that at worst they're going to give you 11 points per game and are very useful. This is someone who has a high ceiling and a safe floor and a good offense. Rashee Rice. This is Patrick Mahomes wide receiver 1. I don't care what you think about Xavier Worthy. Rashee Rice earned targets at an incredibly high rate. Now, I know I've been, in some cases, if you've seen me at other places, a hater about Rashee Rice and how he was used. That doesn't matter, especially in redraft. He's still going to be the slot god for Patrick Mahomes. And this is someone who can give you 18 points per game, wide receiver 1 upside that you're drafting as your wide receiver 2. So no matter what your build is, targeting Rashee Rice is one of the best things that you could do for your roster. And if you like more content like this, hit the like and subscribe button. Me, Jim Coventry, Adam Seslowski, and the whole squad are going to have you ready for your fantasy football season in 2025. But more importantly, if you want access to all of our ADP tools, all of our articles, rankings for best ball, redraft, dynasty, go over to RotoWire.com and get 15% off by using the promo code YouTube15. They give you access to all those tools so you can dominate your fantasy football league, and we'll jump back into it. Now we're entering the 5th and 6th round, where now it's pretty easy how I make my decisions. Can you be your team's wide receiver 1? Are you your team's RB1? At quarterback, do you run the football? But the key thing here is the RB1. There are more RB1s for your teams here than in any other area of the draft board. And the key thing is rookie running backs. Here's where I said you could get a good hero running back, or if you even want to go 0 RB, you can effectively get true RB1s and not just RB2s that you're hoping find their way or work their way into their lineups on a team. Specifically, TreVeyon Henderson. Ramondre Stevenson has fumbled his way out of a premier role with the Patriots. Now in the top of the 2nd round, they get TreVeyon Henderson, who is a pass catcher, pass blocker, and an explosive runner. Even if Ramondre still earns snaps within this backfield, TreVeyon Henderson is someone who is an explosive pass catcher that can make up with any concerns about volume with that PPR upside. Then you look at some of these other guys, Quinshon Judkins, who's in a great rushing offense like the Browns, Caleb Johnson, who I hate the Steelers passing game, but they are built for a ground and pound offense, and that's someone who I want on my roster. Right now, and during this range, I may go running back 2 to 3 times in a row to fill out that position because, again, you shouldn't have to be working at wide receiver because you already took them early. If you're taking these pass catchers or if you're going to go quarterback early, there should be no reason why you're drafting depth. The only thing that you're betting on to pull them out of that lineup is injury, which we hope doesn't happen. It's smart building. We'll build some depth out later, which right now we are drafting the highest value with the highest upside at running back. Next, we'll move on. Let's say we move to the 7th and 8th rounds. It's the same thing, same game. DeAndre Swift. And DeAndre Swift is someone who's kind of on the bubble. He could rise up to the other tier or he could come all the way down here now. So he's someone that I'm just trying to target because he's in a Ben Johnson offense and the clear RB1. There's very little competition outside of Kyle Mononga, who I also like, but he's someone you don't have to worry about to one of your last picks. DeAndre Swift catches passes, and he's in a scheme with high upside for pass catching running backs. Then you have Brian Robinson, who's in an exciting Commanders offense. They didn't really draft anyone at running back. Brian Robinson can come in, and yes, Jaden Daniels might get some of those touchdowns, but this is a poor Eagles situation where it doesn't really matter. If they continue to be explosive, Brian Robinson can continue to benefit from touchdowns. And then remember what I said earlier, where if you want Lamar Jackson, if you want Josh Allen, the only quarterbacks that I'm really targeting are these high upside quarterbacks where you have a rushing floor that gives you an added benefit, or you're going to throw at a high rate. So that's maybe your Baker Mayfields. Joe Burrow's already off the board by this point. But like your Jared Goff's is someone that I may take here because I can complete stacks if I took Jahmyr Gibbs or Jameson Williams. But Brock Purdy, I'm going to take later. Or let's say depending on what you want to stack with your wide receiver, you took like Loud McConkey, Justin Herbert. Those are someone I'm targeting as a QB2. But for my QB1, I know a lot of people don't like him. Justin Fields or Drake May. A lot of people are worried because he's a Patriot and he's only on year 2. These guys rush at a high rate, and we know this is what we call the Konami code, or a cheat code for quarterbacks, where no matter what, you have top 5 upside solely because you have that rushing floor, whether that's getting touchdowns or someone like Drake May put on a pace of almost 700 yards on the ground. Justin Fields has never had less than like 650 rushing yards with missing games, and in some seasons has been on a pace of 800 to 1,000 yards. This is someone you can get super late and gives you that leverage without reaching for someone like Lamar Jackson. Now, for this last tier that's going to round out your team and have a good core before you're going to start targeting depth, if you have faded tight end, or you're looking for your last running back, this is the tier for you. I have Jordan Mason, David Njoku, Tucker Kraft. These are tight ends with high peripherals who, with an uptick, can see a high ceiling. David Njoku, we're not even talking about hypotheticals. He's someone that you're getting at a discount who I've seen fall to this range quite often, who has top 5 tight end upside. The Cleveland Browns are going to be a ground and pound team who are going to frequently have tight ends out on that field, and they're either going to have Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, or a rookie, and those are guys we know are going to target David Njoku often. Then with Tucker Kraft, he was first in broken tackles and a lot of peripherals that with just higher volume, and I know Jordan Love may be considered a game manager, but it's important to know that Jordan Love was injured and playing injured, so with those peripherals, someone like Tucker Kraft could take higher volume and gives you higher upside. And then the last quarterback I have on here is Matt Stafford. When you think about stacking, I've already given you Puka Nacua. I've already given you Davante Adams. What did I tell you? High volume. That's the key for quarterbacks who don't rush. I know that Matt Stafford is older, but he is someone who could throw at a high volume, and someone like Sean McVay isn't afraid to play call and lean on him to throw at that high volume. He's someone that even if I don't get, let's say, Justin Fields, Drake May, some of these other QBs with high rushing upside, I'm okay with Matt Stafford because I think it can be a poor man's Joe Burrow when you think about touchdowns and passing volume. And that's the perfect strategy from the top of the draft 101, 102 spot. If you like videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. I'm Jagger May. See you on the next one.